In this comparative study, I will explore how these two romantic dramas use color to express themes of obsession and lust, which reflect doom romances in relationships. I will also show how use of color has evolved during the two films Vertigo, directed by Alfred Hitchcock in 1958, and In the Mood for Love, directed by Wong Kar-wai in 2000. Before we begin, Collin Dictionary best defines a vicious circle as a situation where one problem has caused other problems, which in turn have made the original problem even worse. Released in 1958, Vertigo marked the end of classic noir and the beginning of post-noir. Vertigo predates the second golden age of Hollywood, more specifically in a time where Hollywood and the world was obsessed with embracing color. With movies like 1952 Singing in the Rain,
I'm singing in the rain.
color was everywhere. In response to the change, Hitchcock says, I am wholeheartedly in favor of color films. Color will give me a chance to portray what I want to portray most lack of color. After previously using color in his films before, Hitchcock perfects his use of color in his 1958 masterpiece, Vertigo. Vertigo follows the protagonist Scotty, played by James Stewart, an ex-police officer who suffers from an intense fear of heights. Scotty is hired by an old friend to spy on his wife, Madeline, and report on her recent strange behaviors. As Scotty trails Madeline, he becomes increasingly infatuated with her. This explores the film's themes of obsession and lust. The film takes a darker turn when Scotty falls in love with a woman who eerily resembles Madeline, catching him in a vicious circle which spirals into a tragic and doomed romance. Almost 40 years later, In the Mood for Love, released in 2000, follows two neighbors, Mr. Chow, played by Tony Leung, and Mrs. Chan, played by Maggie Chung, who discover that their respective spouses are having an affair with each other. After confiding with one another, they form a deeply emotional yet platonic bond. While both are attracted to one another, they choose not to act on their lusts, not wanting to stoop down to the level of their unfaithful spouses. The film explores themes of obsession and lust, which traps the lovers in vicious circles, leading to a doomed romance. Although two very distinct films, they are interconnected thematically, with both films exploring how doomed romances form. This is best portrayed through both films' use of color to reflect lust, more specifically, Vertigo's use of the color green, and In the Mood for Love's use of the color red. Most commonly associated with envy, Vertigo also uses the color green to symbolize Scotty's obsession and lust with Madeline. Seen all throughout the movie, from Madeline's dress to even her car, the color green is most notable in one of Vertigo's most important scenes. In what is critically known as Scene d'Amour because of Bernard Herrmann's famous score, the scene follows Scotty as he forces Judy to transform into Madeline by styling her hair the same way Madeline did. Hitchcock's use of the color green during Judy's transformation back into Madeline reflects one of the main themes of the movie: obsession. Obsession is best defined as an unhealthy and persistent preoccupation with an idea. Scotty has an obsession and infatuation with the idea of Madeline, and he recreates Judy to be Madeline. This suggests that Scotty's love for Madeline is not true love, but an obsession with the ideal. Scotty is obsessed with lusting for something he can't have, which is Madeline, ultimately trapping him in a vicious circle and reflecting the doomed romance of his relationship. Scotty and Judy's relationship was doomed from the start. He is trapped in a vicious circle as he can never really have Madeline or Judy. Consummating his love with Judy only shows his obsession with the ideal. Furthermore, the green lighting represents Judy's lust for Scotty. Constantly, Judy is consumed with lust and frustration with being trapped in the role of Madeline. In the scene where Judy sits inside her room, the lighting is dark, only illuminated through the neon green sign outside. As Judy sits, Scotty is only able to see Madeline's silhouette even though it's Judy underneath. Judy's completely invincible to Scotty. This traps her in a vicious circle as she lusts for something she can never really have. Judy's lust turned into an obsession to be loved by a man who would never love her back. This obsession made her willingly change from Judy to Madeline. Judy's transformation back into Madeline strips her of her own autonomy, deepening her lust and emotional conflict with herself, while also reinforcing the doomed nature of their romance. Alfred Hitchcock uses color to his best advantage in his movie Vertigo. Writer Candace Wall writes in her article, Vertigo, Green with Emotion. He used the color to explain essential emotions without words. Hitchcock's heavy focus on the color green shows us that obsession takes many roots. Hitchcock's use of color during a time when colored films were becoming more widespread revolutionized the way directors use color in their films. Hitchcock uses color as a tool in strengthening the themes he wanted to convey, thus enhancing the film's storytelling. Hitchcock's innovative use of color not only revolutionized cinema, but it also opened the door for future directors to explore color in conveying complex themes. One such director is Wong Kar-wai. In an article written by Stephen Teo quotes, "In interviews with the Western press, Wong speaks of being inspired by Hitchcock's Vertigo. Wong Kar-wai even draws comparisons to James Stewart Scotty, to Tony Leung's Mr. Chow." Although not specifically stated, his most notable inspiration from Hitchcock's Vertigo is through his use of color for In the Mood for Love. The most distinct color used for In the Mood for Love is the color red. Traditionally symbolizing love or intense emotion, red is prominent all throughout the film, from the curtains of the hotel room to the red walls and even Mrs. Chow's red dress. The color red commands attention during pivotal moments as it's meant to express the theme of lust. Notably seen in the hotel room Mr. Chow rents to work and where Mrs. Chan visits so they can work undistracted from their nosy neighbors. The color red conveys the intensity of their emotions and reflects their lust for each other. Despite their strong connection, both are bound by societal constraints and marital fidelity that creates a sense of longing that is never fulfilled. To not be tempted, both characters busied themselves in their work in order to not act on their desires. When Mr. Chow eventually confesses his love for Mrs. Chan, the scene is dull, muted, and lacks color, besides Mrs. Chan's dress. The absence of any vibrancy in the scene, especially the color red, emphasizes the tragedy of Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chan's romance. Consummating their love traps them in a vicious circle which validates their spouse's infidelity. In a world where color techniques have been further developed and refined, Wong Kar-wai is able to use color to reflect an evolution in cinematic storytelling. While both Hitchcock and Wong Kar-wai use color to express lust, Wong Kar-wai chooses to have his characters not act on their lusts and desires, thus avoiding being trapped in a vicious circle. The color red's presence and the color's absence serve as visual cues which mirror the emotional distances between the protagonists and their inability to fulfill their desires, ultimately reinforcing their doomed romance which never materialized. Writer Remy Murnay writes in his article, "The significance of color in Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love. Every choice regarding color in the Mood for Love appears to be deliberate, especially the use of the color red." Although separated by 40 years in cultural context, both Hitchcock's Vertigo and Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love show how color is used to highlight the film's themes and reflect the evolution of color techniques over time. In both films, color becomes a language in itself. It allows the audience to feel the emotional weight of the characters and the inevitable collapses of their relationships. While Vertigo uses the color green boldly to expose Scotty's lust for something he can never have, In the Mood for Love uses the color red to create an atmosphere of lust, which highlights the quiet pain of Mr. Chow and Mrs. Chan's doomed romance.